忍びの掟は忘れまいな。親の次に大事なもの、お前の心に刻むがよい。あれが今日からお前の主だ。命を賭して守る。たとえ奪われるとも必ず取り戻すのだ。よいな、狼よ。
Woohoo! Greetings, friends! My name is Efrain and I like playing Skyrim on the Xbox with mods and telling you all about those mods in a video. Thanks for tuning in. There's no point in beating around the bush here. I'm talking about a grappling gun in Skyrim today. Why? Because it's fun. It works extremely well at what it does, is easy to use and understand, plus can be used for a variety of applications and playstyles that can really change the way you play and see the world. And because this is my life now, I'm here to explain what I meant by all that and provide you with information so that you can further expand upon it. It's a 4.3 megabyte download that can easily be added to your load order to play around with and then taken out. But while you have it installed, why not have a cheeky bit of fun, govna? Maybe make a whole character around it. I don't know why I went British there. But before you go and try it out, let me tell you all about it in as much detail as I want. This is the Grappling Gun mod in Skyrim, the Special Edition version for the Xbox One, by Firewall. Now, the first thing you might be asking is, how do I get me one of them guns? Do I craft it? Do I slap some dude at 500 in a Home Depot parking lot and then head to a steak and egger where another dude comes along and drops a paper bag on my table with my gun in it? No! Nothing even remotely that convoluted and completely made up. Obtaining the grappling gun is as easy as can be. All you need to do is install the mod and load into any of your saved games. The gun will immediately be added into your inventory along with the stack configuration book. If you still start the game with the vanilla start, there isn't any problem as the gun will be added to your inventory pretty much as soon as you're in the back of the starting wagon along with any other mods. If you're running the alternate start mod, the gun is added in when you are in the cell. You will keep the gun even after selecting a new start from the mod. If you somehow lose the grappling gun and have no way of retrieving it, worry not because you can craft another one at any anvil under the ebony category. It costs 5 ebony ingots, which is pretty costly, especially for lower level characters. To my knowledge, the configuration book cannot be replaced, so never let that thing out of your sight or you may just end up with irreversible changes. Okay, now that you have it in your possession, how does it work? Simple. Point, hold the casting button, release, and after a brief moment and a cool sound effect, you will be launched directly to the target location. It will work with any floor, wall, or solid terrain available. It has a small AoE, so if you cast it too close to an NPC, there's a chance that you'll pull them or get pulled over towards them when you really just wanted to go to another area. Speaking of NPCs, the gun will behave in two different ways when it comes to which type of NPC you target. On passive NPCs like guards, townsfolk, and some animals, they will be pulled towards you in the position or animation they were in. Some will stay in that position at their new location until they decide to exit out. This isn't at all a problem for most NPCs and doesn't crash your game, harm your save, or cause any sort of real problems. After some time, they will go back to normally doing their everyday activities, and if they can't, a quick fast travel away will resolve that issue. For hostile NPCs, the effect is different. If you grappling gun an enemy, you will get launched towards them, but not before inflicting them with a power attack that does damage and has a staggering effect. If you have a one-handed weapon equipped in the other hand, that is. This mechanic can change depending on how far away you are from an enemy. When grappling an enemy that's relatively close to you, they will actually get pulled towards you and then turned around, so their back is facing you. This provides you with an easy follow-up while greatly incapacitating the enemy. Very similar to grapple stuns in other games. The gun's behavior does not change when you have a spell equipped in the other hand, although you do not get a free power attack. The grappling gun damage is based off your one-handed stat and scales with it. Any other effect from this skill will also be applied. Using the gun on passive NPCs will not count as a hostile action towards them, meaning they will not turn aggressive if you pull them out of their mundane lives. So what I'm saying is, feel free to Scorpion get over here as many NPCs as you want and cause a ruckus. They will get pulled through obstacles and other sorts of structures and terrain, which is fine. It's fine. Using the grappling gun to move around will not fully break stealth, but hostile NPCs will generally notice it and get alerted. This obviously makes it a great tool for sneaking. On larger NPCs, you will get pulled towards them, leading to some interesting situations.
Oh shit!
Finally, the device cannot be used to pull loose items, and no matter how hard you try. What the fuck was that? Finally, the device cannot be used to pull loose items no matter how hard you try. No matter the application, it will cost stamina, 35 stamina by default. If you run out of stamina or don't have enough go juice, the effect simply won't trigger and your character just kind of spazzes out a little bit. You'll find Firewall's grappling gun has a pretty large range in almost any direction. I can't dig into any game files or set up any fancy value displayer on the old Xbox. And I'm completely antisocial, so I'm sure as hell not going to ask the mod maker, in any way, how far this thing can reach. So I took it upon myself to get the answers for you all using good old-fashioned counting and video game clown science. If you have your cursor on, you'll see that once out of range, the cursor will turn red, indicating that location is too far to be affected. I simply tested the range at 3 locations that you see in this video. The first was at Jukar's monument, standing at the back end of the base of the stone pillar, next to some blue mountain flowers, and targeting a far-off rock whose edge is barely reachable. The next was at Windhelm's Bridge. I started at the stables and moved up until I was able to latch onto the city's main gate. Finally, I went to Whiterun to see if I could get across town with the gun, and it worked surprisingly well. I started at the door of the Bannered Mare and moved towards the city gate until I was able to latch onto the overhang above it. With those 2 positions now known in each location, I simply counted the steps from one point to the other. 55, 56, 57, 50... Oh, god damn it, motherfucker! The result was about 100 steps from point to point. I say about because there is obviously some error in this process. Sometimes I counted exactly 100, other times 105, and one time 115. So I'll just be safe and say the grappling gun's reach is roughly 100 units. To put that in perspective, that's precisely the distance from the well in Whiterun to the overhang at the city gate. If that doesn't seem like a whole lot, here's just another fucking bonkers comparison. A fully charged 3-word Whirlwind Sprint shout will only cover about half that distance. Whirlwind Sprint's distance is not affected by clothing or equipment, as the results are exactly the same with my heavy armor character and my lightly clothed mage. Essentially meaning the grappling gun covers as much distance as 2 Whirlwind Sprints in an omnidirectional fashion for less of the cost and virtually no cooldown. That's just fucking crazy, I don't care what you think. Now there's a small downside to this tool, specifically if you don't have any fall damage protection. Obviously if you grapple to a very high point, gravity is still in effect and you'll fall back down to hurt Dan Schneider's favorite body part. The other scenario is a bit weirder, but I get why it happens. If you are positioned at a high point and grappling at a downwards angle towards a lower point, you will receive damage upon landing to your desired location. The game still technically sees you as falling downwards, so it will inflict fall damage depending on the height of which you grappled from to the destination below. If you max distance grapple downwards without any fall damage protection, you might as well just be doing a headfirst death spiral 500 miles per hour into the ground, because there's no way you're surviving that. Just letting some of you know to use this thing with care. Another small annoyance with this mod is that you'll sometimes be pulled into a wall or item for a second, making it kinda weird. On some occasions I actually fell out of the world. This isn't at all game breaking, as you'll either exit out of the item naturally or you can simply move out of the item back onto solid floor. I have never been horribly glitched into a wall or thing so bad I've had to revert to a previous save or close the game. I have grappled my way into a predicament where I wasn't able to move out of, but ironically the solution was just to grapple my way out. These are just small annoyances, and I've yet to experience anything with this mod that hard crashed the game or left anything terribly glitched. I was shocked that this mod worked so well and found no major bugs or glitches in just an average playthrough that tend to plague other movement mods. It's pretty good. Now let's briefly cover the configuration book that you get along with the device. It's naturally found in the books category of your inventory and contains several configurable properties. The first is to toggle the ragdoll effect when targeting NPCs. By default it is off, and I left it off because I didn't find much practical use for it. You will get some funny scenarios out of it though. Option 2 allows you to change the pulling behavior on NPCs. By default it's as we discussed before. You can change that to always pulling towards you or always pulling towards them. The next setting is to change the grappling speed, and you can do so in value increments of 100 and 1000. The minimum speed you can set is a value of 100 that essentially just puts you in a kiddie ride at an amusement park. I wasn't able to determine the maximum speed, as believe it or not, I have better things to do than just sit on my ass and slowly max this thing out. I got to 100,000 and decided this was a waste of time. Any value over 10,000 ultimately just teleports you to the target location. You can change the cost of stamina to make it costless, or up the value if you think it's too low. By default it's set to 35 stamina, which I think is a fair value for every stage in the game. And finally, you can change how the damage of the gun scales with your one-handed skill. By default it is set to 1.0, meaning it behaves like a standard one-handed weapon. It has a base damage of 14, cannot be improved at a grindstone or any other conventional Skyrim method, and although it comes with an enchantment charge bar, it will never deplete, so you don't ever have to worry about recharging it. Lastly, there isn't any option in the game that will allow you to change the max distance of the gun. It's 100 Skyrim units, take it or leave it. Now there are so many things you can do with this nifty little gun, the most basic of which is to use it as a quick traveling device. Use it to cover as much ground as possible in almost every direction. Scale mountains, zip over obstacles with ease, and blast through dungeons without having to harm a single thing. Except vampires. Those guys are assholes. You have my permission to give them hell. For low level characters or stealth characters that rely on sneak attacks, you can quickly escape dangerous enemies if you find yourself in an unfavorable or unwinnable situation. In dungeons, you can use the gun to find secret areas or quicker routes, and may stumble into some hard to reach places with loot without having to do any puzzle or any kind of jumping mechanic. In some instances, you can even use it to glitch past a locked gate or door. You can use the gun offensively to either position yourself advantageously or grapple onto enemies in mid-combat. Use it to zip right behind enemies without breaking stealth and initiate a sneak attack, or grapple up to a high vantage point to snipe an enemy with an arrow. If you're in the Dark Brotherhood, you can use it to elevate your assassination game. Get real creative as to how you crash a certain wedding. In conventional combat, the default stats of the gun proved to be very strong, as with just minimal training in one-handed, a grapple power attack can be used to quickly eliminate weaker enemies before even reaching the target. Against stronger enemies, you can use it to create an opening from a distance, quickly close that distance, and then follow up with an additional attack. And of course, if you become overwhelmed, you can just get on out of there to recover. It's just like another game. It's beautiful. Now, if you want, you can even dual wield two guns. But you can only get 2 full casts before entering a falling animation and being unable to act afterwards. Sorry guys, no Spider-Manning allowed. You might have noticed you are partially actionable after casting the grappling gun. After casting, you can perform any standing action before entering the jumping or falling animation, in which you can't do anything apart from moving the camera. During this brief moment, you can grapple onto another surface, cast another spell with your free hand, attack with another weapon, or do a silent roll mid-air that's sole purpose is to look fucking sweet. It isn't entirely practical to attack like this, and I found that it's best suited for doing sick nasty trick shots. You can't really fire arrows after grappling, as the action window is too small for you to switch to a bow or crossbow to fire an effective projectile. Ultimately, in almost every situation, you'd have entered the falling animation of the grapple by the time it takes you to fully equip a bow and fire. Okay, so because it took me so long to make this video, Firewall, the creator of this mod, released a one-handed crossbow mod so you can essentially fire bolts while grappling. Cool. Alright, let's briefly run down the pocket crossbow. It's a one-handed crossbow that can be used in either hand or both, is craftable and also added to your inventory with 100 bolts at the start of a save game or a new game, can fire up to 3 bolts in succession before needing to recharge, scales off the archery stat, and of course benefits from its perks, but most importantly, can be used with the grappling gun to perform sick nasty trick shots. If you're all about making a sweet archery montage in Skyrim, you should definitely get both of these mods. Given the mechanics and behavior of this mod, I thought you could use it to save yourself if you ever found yourself plummeting to your untimely demise. Well, do I have news for you? It's not possible. Technically, it is possible if you react fast enough and grapple back up to a cliff or ledge. But the window for you to perform this action is smaller than grappling from point to point. By the time you realize you're falling from a lethal height, chances are you've already entered the falling animation and can do nothing except wait for your final, violent encounter with the ground. The best way to save yourself would be if you already started to hold down the cast button, but that'd be very unlikely and still unreliable. The best advice I can give is to simply have some sort of fall damage protection, or just be careful and walk around with your eyes open. Ah, dicks. And that about sums up all that I have explored with this mod. I honestly think I've barely scratched the surface of what can be accomplished with this gun. And if this mod interests you enough to download it, I'm eager to hear about all the kind of crazy hijinks you've pulled off with this sweet tool. So I think I've talked enough at this point. I like this mod. I had a lot of fun playing around with it. It can do a lot and is very small. You'd be able to shove this into any load order. I put it close to the bottom coupled with other weapons and spell mods, and didn't have any problems to report. It definitely isn't the prettiest and most polished mod, but that's being far too critical for a fun movement mod used to play this game in an unconventional way. Well, unconventional for this game at least. I certainly don't expect for this mod to permanently stay on many people's load orders, but for the time it's installed, I guarantee it's a blast. In short, good fun mod make good times for small whiles. Check it out. Links in the description as always, and John Cleese, will you help me with this lazy segue?
And now for something completely different.
Greetings! You look like someone who likes to have fun by watching the misadventures of others in a video game. Don't fucking lie to me, I know you do. I have ESPN. Well, oh boy, do I have a channel to recommend to you starring yours truly and my 2 friends, both of which I have mercilessly beat in Super Smash Bros. There's even video evidence of me doing just that on the channel, Efrain TV+. But I don't just fight my friends and win in a Super Smash Bros. Vaporwave mod, we play a variety of games. Old, new, traditional, and slightly modified. What do I mean by slightly modified? Well, why don't you just check out this Mario 64 video to find out. It's currently my favorite on the channel. We also have a couple of ongoing series there, like Efrain makes his friends play horror games and a badly translated Pokemon Crystal playthrough known as Vietnamese Crystal. You want me to sweeten the deal? You got it. I'll be streaming some games there every once in a while, as well as try out some different content ideas. So if that seems all peaches and cream, come check out Efrain TV+ and subscribe. Thanks.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Well, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name is Efrain. Adios.